If there's something that came to light you wanted to discuss, this is your moment to do so.
So I'm a little surprised that they're giving us such nice food and they're being so kind to us. Um, it's it's kind of a change of heart. It seems like they've had. So um,
Or their
I don't know.
expectations are way high.
Yeah, that's one possibility. I'm a little on my guard. Um, but it's also possible that they're starting to get worried. They should have been worried like 3 days ago, but it's possible that they're starting to get worried and that they think that we're their best chance. That would probably be better than if they're like trying to. That's probably the best option. That's all.
As you're waiting for the food and having this conversation, the butler, Orchid, you can see him through the glass over here on this wall, and he pulls curtains on the outside of the glass down, and well, I mean that's you don't see him after that.
I'm just sipping tea, waiting.
Okay. A little bit more time passes, and sure enough, there you see Lily come back in. I'm sorry, she would have introduced herself to you. I don't know if I remember doing that, but Lily
Yeah, we
Huge
met Lily
Track.
before.
Okay, so the sort of the head maid is Lily Huge Tract, and you'll see her cart come back in. She opens the door once more, and the cart comes wheeling in, closes the door behind her. Here you go, my dears. The things that you've ordered. Now, as for you, I wasn't sure which way you wanted your banana, and so I brought two. One is yet green, and the other has a nice, healthy yellow to it.
Oh, well, would you mind if I had the yellow one now and kept the green one for later?
Of course you may.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate the luck you gave me earlier. It seemed to have worked.
Oh, good. I'm really happy. Okay, so I'm gonna eat the. I didn't. I don't have a yellow banana prop right now. I have the wrong props today.
I mean, who would have expected a wild magic surge that would change your summon into a miniature flying unicorn the size of a cat? Come on, you gotta get ready for this stuff. We don't talk about this between games.
I think I have a banana, but it's not right here. It's upstairs. So I think I'll save that one for just a few minutes too, until after the break.
Yeah, that's fine because we'll take a 10-minute break here in about another 10.
Okay.
All right, so I mean, your tea will be topped off. Mordecai, Celine, you've been brought an assortment of chocolates that are in various flower shapes, and Jade, you were brought your. Shoot, I just had it in my brain. You requested a.
Squid.
Oh, that's right, a squid. Um,
Yeah, squid.
and so you're brought a dried squid, and it's just sort of on a plate, and it's set before you. She tells you that they have been smoked, so hopefully you enjoy the flavor.
Jade proceeds. I'm assuming it's not a completely flat plate. It's like a typical plate with a slight bevel to the end.
Yes.
At that point, Jade ends up taking a little bit of her water skin and pours a little bit of water and just lets it sit there to moisten.
Okay.
She has plans for this.
Okay. And Norlai, Lily looks down at you and, do you need more sugar cubes, dearie?
No, I'm good.
Okay. It seems that you've gone through a prodigious amount of our sugar.
Celine looks to Norlai at this point and it's just like, Norlai, you want to drink tea, not sludge.
That is so good.
I don't know how anyone can drink that.
All right. Do you require anything
you
else?
don't. You wait for it to gelatinize and then you slice it into quarters with a fork.
I suppose.
I believe Master Flowerfield will be ready in short order. But if you need anything else, tell me now. Otherwise, this might be the last time that you see me.
I'm fine.
Very well. Please do carry yourselves with a modicum of dignity while you're here. You can speak about such crass and base things with me, as I have a bit of a reputation, but I am sure that, once Orchid fully returns to his duties here, and Master Flowerfield is in your presence, you'll want to carry yourself with the respect and dignity that we heap upon you, or are expected to. As for me, well, I can see past such things. You cheeky little monkeys. And she gives you all kind of like a little wink and flicks her tail, and with that turns the cart around. On the way out, she uses her tail to close the door, and the stop.
Interesting woman.
What a fascinating room we are in.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch her go and nibble on one of the chocolates and simply think to myself, "Wow, food and a view."
As she's leaving, outside of this window, which wasn't covered, it was just these two over here. You do see she runs into the butler, Orchid Overfield, and they seem to talk about something. There's a little bit of nodding, a little hand gesturing, and the two of them end up continuing beyond, probably to the kitchen, which is over this way. And you are left to yourselves.
Is there anything that looks valuable in this room?
That looks what? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Valuable and locked.
Valuable everything, and of tremendous value. Locked. There's nothing that is obviously locked, perhaps except these like windows that are like these window doors that can open up.
Darn.
But there's not a treasure chest just kind of hanging out in the room.
Celine is going to look towards towards Mordecai and Norelai, or at least the two people who are sitting closer to her.
Sure.
And she's going to say very, very quietly, "So is it just me? Or does this feel like a trap?"
What do you mean?
Soundproofing?
Private conversations?
I think the soundproofing is probably just kind of built in. I don't think they could have just deployed soundproofing right now.
Remember that we haven't been here in several days.
True.
Doesn't take that long to apply a silence enchantment, So,
Yeah. But we can all
or
talk.
Mordecai's sanctum, or anything of like. We just need to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regard. But
I think it's been 2-3 days since we were here. I think it's been 3 days. It might have been 2 days.
If it's 3, I think this is the 3rd.
Yeah.
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 The curtains are opened up by the butler on this side, and he walks around, comes in through the door here, presents himself, checks the fire, throws a little bit more stuff onto it. Is there anything that I can get you then? It would appear that Master Flowerfield will be with you shortly.
I'm pretty sure that we're sorted.
Very well.
What is that beautiful?
The maid with the one of the head maids came through just a little while ago.
Oh, yes, Miss Huge Tract. I hope that she took care of you. She can be a little, we'll say, frilly around the edges.
That is just fine. I like them, frilly.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Nothing. Just, she did take care of us.
No, very good.
I'm kind of frilly myself, so we have that in common.
My clothes are full.
Not in the same way. I was trying to be polite.
So am I.
Quite. I believe Mordecai, your name was. You had a question, or you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just asking what that beautiful aroma is.
Well, it's a bit of a. I guess you could call it an incense, perhaps, or a potpourri might be a little bit more appropriate.
Very interesting.
Yes, well, we take our pride on growing an assortment of flowers and employ them in all manner of ways. They spice our foods. They, well, enhance our fires. They decorate our they decorate our rooms. They flavor even our common water.
Hmm.
If you would like some rose water, I can have some brought into you.
No, tea's fine.
Very well. He comes to attention, gives a polite, mandated short bow, and leaves. And walks off in this, like going towards this direction, not towards this direction over here. Lily passes by once more without the cart, but she's just sort of she's carrying herself very properly. You know, she's even got like the poofy shoulders and everything of the dress. She's carrying herself very properly. And when she's passing by, she looks over to you all and continues, perhaps going to the back to the kitchen, and a little bit more time passes. Pop, pop, crackle. The fire continues to smoke and smell very pleasant.
It's at this point Jade has used her eldritch sight. She's just kind of observing right now, perhaps thinking upon Celine's paranoia. So finally, they have something in common.
Okay. In looking around, you can see that the chandeliers in here are using magic, perhaps to stay lit. So really, everything's lit up in this magical glow. And you're also noticing that the fire is magical.
I am somewhat curious. I'm not good with enchantment. Right, maybe you would know. Is there a reason that the fire glows in more ways than one? I didn't cast silence on you, Bright. You can speak to me.
Yeah, there must have been a silent spell right there. I had to. Okay. Yeah, it's magic. Well, sometimes there's some fire that's just like magical fire, so it burns all the time, and you don't need to keep feeding it with fresh wood. They could have definitely done that. Kind of the same with. I mean, there's like create. I mean, it could just be an illusion too. I mean, I make illusion fire sometimes.
But he put wood on it.
It could be a continuous flame.
Yeah.
Part of it is looking magical, Jade.
The fire itself, if I recall, Matty?
Yeah, it's glowing. It's glowing evocation.
Evocation. Such a wonderful, wonderful occupation. Yes. There is that, and the chandelier. Yeah, she looks up. Item 666.
Yeah, the chandelier is probably just magic too, just to keep it lit. Does it have? I mean, looking at it, does it appear to have like candles in it, or does it just have like glowy orbs?
It has,
electric, but it's probably not electric.
it has candles that are shedding light brighter than a normal candle would. They do appear to flicker, but even with casual observation, you've been here now for a while. There's no signs of melting wax, just light flickering atop each of the wax stands.
Yeah, they're probably just magic, so they stay lit without needing fuel. Although if somebody put wood on the fire, that's kind of an interesting thing.
The incense or potpourri or whatever he called it.
Yeah.
Into it.
But if the potpourri wasn't magic, that's actually a good sign, because magic incense, that means lots of trouble. I mean, not always. Like, I used magic incense to bring back Piggy Sue, but
She says defensively immediately after that sentence.
there are things that you can also do with magic incense that aren't as good. They use it for enchantments and things. It's not always good.
Yeah.
All right. So Jade, you're looking around, questioning, and coming around the corner here, you can see through the glass doors is the now master of the Flowerfield estate, Ripol Flowerfield. He still wears his hair as it like the little kind of like pulled up bouquet, if you remember. Stern, powerfully built, very intimidating. Long, dyed red hair tied up into a sprout on top with colored tips like a bouquet. And he enters. It's a pleasure to see you all again. And I'm sorry I had to keep you waiting. I hope that the accommodations have been satisfactory for you.
It's been very nice. We're very comfortable here. Thank you.
Very good. And you received the gifts that I sent along?
Yes, we did. We appreciate them very much.
Excellent. He turns, he closes the doors, and he comes over. He'll pull a... So if you all are sitting in the chairs over here, he'll pull a chair up, and he'll sit beside the table here in this midway point in the room. Celine had the highest passive perception, yes? You had a 14?
I have a 16.
Oh, 16. Oh, pardon me. Mordecai is a 14.
It's a wisdom skill and I have proficiency.
Yep, that's... Okay. So he's going to get into a little bit of... side talk. With the formal small talk out of the way, and your health is still with you, I wanted to let you know that I believe we have a lead on locating my nephew Tibba. And so I have summoned you here, in order to discuss his recovery, as you have shown that you were invested in such a thing, especially given the events you've gone through in order to try and protect him before he was kidnapped.
Yes.
1 second.
We definitely want to make sure that he's safe.
Okay. Very good, very good. I'm sure that you would, and with your preparation and your rest, I believe that I can help you be on your way to go recover Tibba. I have it from a source that I trust that... Well... I don't know how to put this. He would be in a camp of vampires. It wouldn't just be a simple, small bandit gang, an isolated incident. I believe that there are going to be many of them that are holding on to him. It would seem that they tried to breach Snamfi, and they paid the price for doing so. However, they're still holding Tibba hostage, and have not yet contacted us directly. So if they're not going to come and find us, or haven't yet, then I have sent others out to go and try and find them. And it's been a bit of a baffling circumstance. It's almost as if a group like this just exists and it doesn't exist. You'll find tracks and the tracks disappear. You'll find some kind of a campsite, and yet no one seems to exist there.
Magic.
I ran across something a little bit interesting on the road in that regard.
Oh, and he leans forward. He sets his chin on his hands like this. And what did you run into? Hmm?
Where the tracks and all trace of them seem to disappear at some point in the middle of a field. And luckily we have amongst us the gifts that allow for detecting magic, and we're able to determine that it was some kind of spell that would mask that kind of thing. So it doesn't surprise me at all that we are still running into that.
I
Now,
imagine you would. And, well, they don't want to be found for good reason. They have drawn the ire of the most powerful family in all of, well, this region. And yet they want something. I wish I could tell you what. If it was just as easy as money, it would have been resolved by now. I would have paid any price in order to recover my nephew. But there's something else, and that is upsetting to me. While I do ask that you put down any vampires that you so happen to come across, and Mordecai, he's not leering at you, but he does look at you when he says that is a way to reinforce those words. I need to know a little bit more about what they're doing and why. Obviously, the recovery of Tibba is going to be of the utmost importance, but any additional information can help provide us some insight, as, from what I also understand, Mesomasca isn't the only place that is suffering from a plague like this.
And your brother may have had the foresight to know that.
Well, I would presume he would be very aware of what is happening. He has been a bit of an ambassador from our family out into the other countries that make Mesotopia outside of our own Mesomasca here. In fact, he was returning from a trip with poor Tibba when, well, the events that played out had played out. And it is now up to others, well, myself, more specifically, in order to pick up where he left off. However, there are some aspects about his business that I do not fully comprehend. Tibba would be invaluable in giving me some insight into what has happened.
Tibba's just a child. What would have told him that he didn't tell you?
Well, you see, I don't live on the family estate. I have an estate elsewhere to the south, and, well, given the news and how it traveled, with all due haste, and nothing shy of some large expenses, myself, my wife, and my 3 kids came up here as quickly as we could, in order to try and bring some order to the chaos of having lost the patron of the flower fields.
See. So, do you think that your brother some sort of a secret plan, and that Tibba's the only one who still knows it? They might have taken Tibba just to get that information.
I believe that he would be only part of it. I imagine that there's a lock and there's a key, and Tibba is one such element. They lack the other. Yet, if he were returned to us, we would have both.
See. So, I see. So that means that they'll keep him alive. They need him alive.
It would appear so, else he would have been simply killed, even with or without a ransom. What use would a small child be to a vampire besides a passing snack?
As long as he's a member of this family, he has value to a lot of people.
Yes, a great many, including those of us who have been left behind after such a tragedy. My poor brother. And, well, Tibba's mother has barely even emerged from her own room. All the meals have been sent up to her.
Well, I see. But, my lord, if I may, I have a question for you.
Yes? Speak up.
Have you been working in the garden today, perchance?
No. Why would you ask such a thing? I am not
Then
one to... I'm not one
Then
to...
where did the dirt under your fingernails come from?
Oh, my.
Please answer the question, my lord. It's very important.
Well, it didn't come from the garden. I can promise you that. I'm sorry, I must have not washed my hands thoroughly enough. You see, I was playing with my children out in the garden. I wasn't doing any planting myself, and being a little rough and tumble, I wanted to make sure that I could clean up before receiving you. You remember my children, yes?
Of course, wonderful children.
Quite.
He,
I also think Derek's internet is bitnet.
Derek died.
okay.
Jade just got really bored of the conversation and fell asleep.
It's possible.
Though, you know, when you say that, he does very self-consciously, so instead of kind of being like this, he does tuck his fingers in as he's making eye contact, and his body position hasn't really changed, but he is tucking his fingers in, so that his dirty fingernails aren't showing.
Then for the sake of propriety, it is on your shoes as well.
Well, naturally, if it would be under my fingernails, it would be on my shoes, too. Is the activity of my fatherhood a concern of yours? Do you believe that there is something amiss with how I'm raising my children?
No, I think there are simply things amiss in general, and as such, I and my friends cannot be anywhere near careful enough to make sure that information doesn't slip through our fingers, and I would like to make an insight check.
Regarding...
Regarding his general disposition, just to see is he being defensive and hiding something or not?
Sure. Go ahead and you can roll one straight up.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. So with an 18, his demeanor and his posture have closed up slightly. He's still presenting himself with a very I'm the master of the house and I'm conducting myself in official capacity. But there are enough little body language hints. There's enough. There's a little bit of a tone in his voice, as he normally speaks very deep and powerfully to you, where he's not really defensive, but he is. He's questioning the relevance of this, and how this is playing into what he has been discussing. So his behavior has changed a little bit.
Okay.
In your opinion.
Alright then. I simply thought that I would ask. Any information that could lead to the discovery of your nephew is good information.
Oh, hang on
yes?
1 second. My my headset just derped out here. I gotta plug in.
So someone's dying in the
I
background.
was so caught up in the story that I was
Yeah,
ignoring the
that'd
beep.
be my fiance. She's
Okay,
little sick
there
at
we
the
go.
moment.
I have sound again.
Yep. So basically what she says is "'Twas a simple question, my lord. Any information that could lead to the discovery of your nephew alive and well is good information, yes?"
Oh, I wish that I discovered Tibba while playing ball with my children in the garden.
And I'll leave that conversation there, but I'm going to be watching his every movement. I'm going to be watching him very carefully. Because Selene is suspicious that there's something amiss here.
Okay.
Sir, do you have any idea where you think this camp might be?
Well, that will depend on perhaps just how hungry they are, and what type of prey they choose to go after. I have heard that. Oh, hang on one second. I can't type and think at the same time with what is going on here. Okay. I've heard that there have been many dead animals found outside of Snamfi. And I don't believe that has anything to do with those giants. Aside from that, well, if they're choosing to feast on people, well, I believe that those who are inside the city are safe, and they are being defended by what we had discussed on your first visit here. So it would be anyone living outside, other farmers, people who live the country life. And unfortunately, in that case, we won't hear anything from them for perhaps a week even. Only unless they've been missed. Yes, Norlai,
So
those.
He's a good pet.
So, if you don't know exactly where they are, and they haven't contacted you,
Say the last part. It sounds like it cut out.
well, I said, how do you know what they're looking for? I mean, you have the thing, but how do you know that Tibba knows the things that they need? Relation, or is there a trail of some sort that we could follow?
His mother is quite ignorant. And I know that Tibba was taken by his father. Not that he had to leave this estate, but I imagine that his father was trying to show him the family business. I imagine that over the course of sailing through this inner sea of ours, that they had talked, that he knew things about the business, and perhaps even things that that his father made no record of. I have been searching through the accounting records. I have been searching through even my dear brother's diary, and yet there still seems to be some missing pieces. And not only do I want to have Tibba returned because he is my nephew, but I believe that for the sake of our family, and therefore I dare even say, given the current circumstances of this incursion into our land, that the sake of Mesomaska, the sake of Mesotopia, may rest with little Tibba.
Odd. Something so severe would rest on a child. But
I believe there is much, much more here than is being shared.
Are you saying that out loud?
Yes.
Okay. His eyes narrow, and just the room doesn't darken, but you're getting a bit of a silhouette. You know, it's like he darkens in front of this crackling, scented fire. I believe that I'm being straightforward with you, and don't think that I haven't seen you eyeing me, ma'am. If you are suspecting foul play, then out with it.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. All I can see is that over the past 5 or so minutes, you have adopted several new behaviors that are very much unlike what I have seen from you in our past encounter. This says to me that you have something to hide.
I believe it says that I'm growing quite irritated, with suspicion in my own household. About my own nephew at that.
Forgive my suspicions, but given the current series of events, given the secrets that have been held, given the things that we have heard, the things that have been said to us, the things that we have seen, I am not willing to write off any possibilities. I would very much hope, my lord, for your sake, that you were telling the truth.
And I pray that you do not make a slip of your tongue and give me cause to have you put away for your indiscretion. I won't tolerate it.
Oh,
Can I make another insight check?
so far away from Celine right now.
Right, Norla just like casually just separate in two different directions away from the group.
I think what my crass friend is trying to say is that we're not going to pass anything up.
Why don't you begin your investigation outside the very household to which Tibba belongs?
Anything we can do.
I'm giving you something to do.
In other words, starting our investigation here, that is what he's saying. But no, I would like to make another insight check as to that very defensive
Sure.
that very defensive stance he just took. I said Celine is convinced that there is something really bad going on here.
You can roll one.
She's gonna sleuth and insight her way to the bottom of it. Ooh.
All right.
See if it's better than last time.
And it's just him in the room. There's nobody else, right? It's just us.
Correct. It's him and the 5 of you inside this room. Now, I believe you have eaten my food. You have partaken of my tea and other drinks. And I see that Miss Huge's tract even supplied you with there might be appeal, with 2 bananas.
It's true, and I appreciate them very much, thank you.
Then the time to leave my house grows ever closer. I have some more information that I will send with you, so that I need not be in your presence to muddle your investigation.
At your whim, sir.
He stands up. Again, very powerful figure set against the flickering, scented smoke and fire in the fireplace. I would appreciate prompt correspondence. I want my nephew back.
Of course. do everything in our power to recover him.
You had better. Now, please depart my estate. He walks over and pulls on the bell, and just a minute later, Orchid comes over, opens the doors. Yes, sir. These fine guests were just leaving. The butler gives a bow to each of you. Come along, then. If you need a snack, I'll take you by the kitchen. But I believe that the master of the house has asked you to leave, and so you must.
Well,
Thank you very much for having us, sir. And I leave.
You get a very, automatic, noble bow from Ripol. And the butler is going to escort you out.
just following the butler.
Celine will be the last to file out, and in the doorway, she is going to look back at the master of the house. I will actually go. Just do that.
You're looking at Ripol Flowerfield?
Yeah, and she simply says, slipping her mask onto her face. She simply says, "For your sake, I hope you are not hiding anything." And she bows and then leaves promptly.
He gives no reply. You take your leave.
As soon as the door is shut, I
Mhm.
look at Celine. What the hell are you thinking?
Maybe I should do the talking next time.
It's like both of you. I know that what happened in there might seem rather severe, but he is
Yeah.
hiding something.
You were
I know he is hiding something.
Doesn't matter if did we learn anything because of all that? No, all we did was get thrown out, and now he's not going to help us.
Yes. She kind of sighs and she looks. She turns to you, right, and she goes, "Look, Bright, I do not expect complete understanding as to the." Because he had when we met him the first time, he was a practitioner of he was a worshipper of Ouijas, yes.
Yes.
It's like, so Celine turns to Brighton. It is with him, if he is hiding something regarding these creatures, not just a matter of the job that we have to do, but a matter of religious significance to both him and myself. If he was to know anything about these vampires, he would be breaking quite a veritable number of tenets.
See,
I mean,
but so what is? I'm not familiar with the holy teachings of Ouijas. What is the rule? Because we travel with Mordecai. He's a vampire. Is that
Yes,
a
he
problem
is a...
for Ouijas?
No. And the reason that is it's because he doesn't cause death needlessly. He doesn't leave a trail of carnage in his wake.
So
He attempts
your
to be
judgment would only apply to those vampires that can't be redeemed.
quite the undead who have lost their minds and descended into nothing but animals.
So,
Death
it
that has
doesn't-
become death that has become tainted
like, these
by
vampires
corruption.
are hurting anyone either right now, right? I mean, it seems like they're picking off animals and butcher shops and not doing any more damage than Mordecai, except maybe they're just a little bit outside the law, more so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they are. We don't know for sure. But what if he's supplying them with blood? What if he's supplying them, or somebody else? There could be some other faction that's supplying them with blood, and keeping them out of trouble, the same way that Mordecai is.
Or they're keeping thralls, right? Or they're keeping thralls, and that's why we haven't found any bodies. Trust me, that makes things a lot easier to hide when you have live food sources traveling with you.
Well, Mordecai, I think that averages out to 10.
I don't know about you guys, but his wife gave me the creeps too.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is why nobody seems to think that Tibba's mother has anything to contribute here. I mean, okay, so if Ripple lives somewhere else, that's fine, but then the father, whose name is Leporfi, why wouldn't Leporfi tell his wife things?
The thing is, they could either be trying to use her as a scapegoat, or simply to try and write her off.
But this is her.
Needless
She
to
would be
say,
the
it's
one-
very obvious that the power. Sorry, Monica.
I was just saying that she would obviously have a huge investment in getting her son back emotionally. Ripple would have
Point.
financial or political reasons. So why haven't we seen her? He said she's bedridden.
It is very much a thing to keep an eye on. But one thing's for sure, the Flowerfields have skeletons in their closet. Very, very large skeletons. Things that they are trying to hide that cannot remain hidden any longer if they wish to see their nephew or son or whatever relation, if they wish to see their heir again.
Do we want to... I mean, there's things we can do if you want to try to spy on them. I mean, it's wild magic, so everything's gonna go wrong. But have some spells, right? Jade seems to be in a state of catatonia right now. But when she comes to, she can cast invisibility, and I can fly.
Ooh, that's fun.
Else fly. And, I mean, there's lots of stuff we can do if we really don't trust them that much.
I don't know. That's why I was hesitant.
Just sneak back in.
Corpus Creeper daggers. Because if they
We do have those Corpus Creeper daggers. But before that, he said that some investigation should happen just outside the estate. Why don't we do that? Investigation.
Wasn't very hey.
For Bright and Norelai, as you are leaving, Mordecai, you might be lost in your thoughts, or you might be kind of lecturing Celine in this case. But
And
you,
Celine's like, I know I'm not the wrong.
but you two notice that as you're going towards the grand front doors to the Flowerfield estate, standing somewhat behind a pillar, not necessarily like hidden like a kid playing hide and go seek or something, but you see Ripple's wife. also named Orchid, who has that sort of pale countenance and dark swirls under her eyes, and she's just sort of partially obscured by it, very politely standing there. But she does notice that all of you leave, and she turns and walks away.
You were saying all of the stuff that we were saying in the front lawn, right?
Yeah. So,
Talking in private.
geography-wise, how are we being escorted past her too? Like, if we wanted to stop and
No, she wouldn't be on the way. She's off to the side. So, you would have to break and go directly up front because she's not presenting herself. She's not even going. She's standing silently and just watching from partially behind this support pillar.
are we being like escorted out by?
The butler,
Okay.
also named Orchid.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Ripol's daughter, also named Orchid.
So I'm going to go ahead and poof up Peggy Sue behind the butler, and I'm going to ask her to go follow Orchid.
Okay.
So I have 30-foot range on my Peggy Sue poof. That should be far enough to get her behind the butler or into a bush or something where he can't see her.
Okay. And you'll be asked to wait while the carriage is brought up for you.
Are we leaving the estate, or are we investigating here? That's
Yeah, we're gonna lead. I'm guessing Peggy Sue is going to. I'm guessing we're going to leave, and Friday's gonna drop Peggy Sue to stay and investigate, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
She hasn't said anything about that.
we can't really. I mean, I can only see through her eyes when we're pretty close. It's 100 feet, but she'll still follow my instructions if we're farther away, and then I can just bring her back later if she doesn't, get smushed. I don't want her to get smushed again.
Yeah, because you can poof.
Well, she's a mini unicorn, so.
Yeah, and she can fly too, so she's pretty slippery.
I'm pretty sure that
This plan.
unicorns can also, like, teleport and do all sorts of other things. So.
I don't really know what she can do.
We'll find out.
Okay. So she was summoned with no. That would have been awkward to explain, right? You summon Peggy Sue and a wild magic effect goes off, but you managed to pop her into existence, and you're gonna send her to try and go. Well, as long as she's within 100 feet of you, anyway.
I mean, I can see through her eyes when she's within 100 feet, but she'll still follow. Like, if I send her off to, go follow her and see what she does, she can report back later.
Okay.
Shouldn't be any problem with that.
The butler stays outside with you all until the carriage is brought up, and once more you're very as actually I don't know if you were following, but the carriage and the horses and the driver was very well detailed by Funny previously. He had like a waxed mustache, and the horses have those those sort of like band leader, like the poofs of feathers and stuff as a part of the headdress. Very, very elegant and very nice. This pulls up, and the butler opens the door for you all.
Just as a point of order, did he listen to our whole conversation just now?
The butler?
Yeah.
He hasn't moved. He escorted you to the front door, and he hasn't left.
Yeah, so we walked out, and then we're talking.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that they're giving us the carriage. I mean, given how things ended, I'm a little surprised that they're going to let us use it. Also, why would they be giving us the carriage if they wanted us to look around the outskirts of the estate? I think maybe we misinterpreted something. Let's ask the carriage driver where his instructions are to take us. Driver, where are your instructions to take us?
I'm to take you back to your suite at the Tumbled Wench.
Well, to the Tumbled Wench then.
It's interesting. Okay, I guess we can go.
Very good. Please, make yourselves comfortable. We'll arrive in 10 or 15 minutes, depending on, how busy the streets are this time of day. You did spend some time in the manor and such, so, like, noonish time, shoppers are going to be out, people looking for a lunch. The butler closes the door behind you all, and clop, 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 clop. You make your way
I want to
out.
look through Peggy Sue's eyes as long as I'm in range.
Okay. Peggy Sue, as you're pulling away, I mean, it'll be rather quick, because you were escorted a short ways out of the front door, like you're not just on the other side of it. She is able to see, well, you're able to see through her eyes, that Ripol's wife is making her way towards a staircase and going upstairs before the link is severed due to distance.
Okay, sorry I have a little cough today.
I don't like any of this.
She didn't stay in the garden then.
No, she wasn't in the garden. Like well, you met her in the garden initially. This time she was sort of in a grand foyer that you were being escorted out of, and she was off to the side, hiding behind like a pillar for the main, like the front wall of the mansion.
Okay. I'm gonna give Peggy Sue like 5 minutes, and then I'll poof her back.
Okay. Does that count as this? Actually, so I mean, there was
It's
the
not a
initial
spell.
one. It is a spell. Oh, it's not. Okay,
It's just
Okay.
an ability.
gotcha. Oh, then actually, I mean, nothing happened on the first one, but that's good to know. All right. So anyway, you recall Peggy Sue, and amid all of you, Noralai and Celine, I think this is the first time that you've seen Peggy Sue's new form. When last you met the familiar, it was a frog. Now it is a winged unicorn the size of a cat.
She got cuter.
And so there it is. It just sort of like pops onto Bright's lap and kind of does a couple circles and looks at you all.
She's harder to snuggle now that she has hooves instead of like little paws or frog feet, but we'll figure it out.
So cute.
All of you see that Celine's eyes kind of turn blue for a moment, and Celine says in not Celine's voice, "Fascinating, and might I say, quite attractive." And Celine, your senses are restored back to you.
What? What the hell was that?
Your own
Kind of sounded like a guy for a second.
I think Celine is the familiar in this relationship.
Touche.
I am going to burn it down. Just wait until I reach 13th level and pick up Firestorm. I will burn it all to the ground.
I mean, if you get unlucky with magic here, you can just burn things anyways.
That did not happen last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it almost happened to me once.
All right.
Yeah, no, I
It's
got
not why
turned
you're so scared to
blue.
use your spells.
I got
Oh
turned
yeah, especially
blue.
in this area. Like, that's like double me. And, you know, just want to
Wait,
be
that's
fun.
a usual like.
It's okay, Volvo. With
It's better on some days than other.
with Firestorm specifically, you can leave organic material such as plants unburned.
Oh, that's good.
You mean flame strike?
No, flames, Firestorm.
I
The
was not
name
aware
sounds
that
really
spelling was
devastating,
in school.
despite that, if that's the case. But so you're still cluck, 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 cluck. You're going through. You know, the cobbles are kind of having you bounce a little bit in the carriage. It is a rather smooth ride. I mean, you're in a very nice coach here. Is there anything else that you wish to discuss while you're making your way through Snamfi and all the buildings, the flowers, and such? Which, by the way, does look like a lot of people have been replanting their pots, and you're actually seeing a couple people that you had initially seen working and bringing crates out of the mansion. You're seeing them visiting homes and are delivering pots and dirt and other things to people.
So they're probably installing more flowers.
That's entirely possible. I need to be careful.
Quite.
I mean, my guess is that they're probably installing as many flowers as they can just to protect the city in general. And I guess the only thing we can really do is explore. I mean, he said to explore the outskirts of the city, so I guess we can do that. But, I mean, trying to stumble over the vampire den, that doesn't seem like a very productive.
Well thought out plan, yeah. We need to come at this strategically in some way.
I mean, to be fair, if he's asking us to look around the outskirts of the city, it would mean that he already has an idea where they are, and he's hoping that we stumble upon it in the hopes that they eliminate us, we eliminate them, and both of his problems are gone.
That's very possible.
I'm sorry.
We're not really a
may-
problem for him, or at least we didn't used to be until today.
The only problem I can think of that he might have would be with me.
No. Well, there are other things that could point us up as a problem, and that's the matter of we know too much. He shared with us a large bevy of information.
I mean, he hasn't really shared us that much information. All he shared with us is that he's got the magic seeds that kill vampires, which we already knew anyway, and
Tibba's the key to something.
Yes, but it's,
what he's the key
it's more,
to, and that he was learning the family business, which is no surprise to anyone, because that would be the natural thing. I don't know that we really know anything.
It's like,
If only we...
but see, here's the thing, right? We have to find these things. We have to find. We know about the seeds, and we know about the nature of, somewhat of the nature of their magic. We know about the vampires and the Fae, and know that both are coming to try and reclaim what they believe was once theirs. We also know that Tibba is the heir to the Flowerfield family, and that he's the key to something, not necessarily what. We have more information than we're giving ourselves credit for, and I believe that because of our ability to survive under these circumstances, and our particular eclectic mix, that he may see us as a threat. Now, this might just be me being overly suspicious, but it would be very beneficial for him to get rid of the vampires and us in one fell swoop. He has what he wants and no loose ends. It sounds nasty to think, but...
So, that's kind of an awkward position. Let's assume that we don't all get killed. Just for the sake of argument, because I'm not really interested in plans where we all do get killed. So, suppose we don't, and then we capture Tibba from the vampires. That effectively means that we have to use him as a bargaining chip. I don't...
Yes, you're exactly right, Brighton. You're right. I don't particularly feel good with doing that, and I know you don't either. The thing is, at this point, we don't have a lot of choice.
I mean, you can walk away.
You can't always walk
If
away.
We could.
If the vampires need Tibba alive, and assuming they don't need him alive so they can like sacrifice him in some horrible ritual, which we don't really know for sure.
Well, if
they
he,
need him.
if he,
Can assume that sooner or later, the Flowerfields will find a way to get him back.
if he is a key of some kind, then it could be that he is required for some kind of sacrificial ritual. And I get the feeling that this sacrificial ritual, if the vampires want him so badly, that the sacrificial ritual may have something to do with bringing more of them back.
Leave it to the death cleric to bring up sacrificial rituals.
I mean, technically, I brought it up, but someone really ran with it.
What kind of ritual would require Tibba in particular, and not just any other kid?
This may have to do with survival.
I mean, if they're trying to get knowledge from him, I mean, they might have some kind of like mind probe or something where they can just.
Yeah, if they have someone that's as skilled as Jade, even.
They wouldn't need to kill him if that were the case. No, I'm thinking that there's something. I believe that there might be something special about that boy that we're not too aware of, and that he might be valuable in a more physical sense.
I mean, did any of us get the sense that he had some kind of special powers? I never really got that sense. He seemed like a sheltered and innocent and maybe a little overly innocent boy. I don't feel like he's like a sorcerer or anything.
Oh, I'm not saying that he knows about this. I'm just saying that it might be possible, and that, well, we never took a glance over him now, did we?
I mean, we spent a lot of time with him.
We did, but we didn't glance over him, not to that depth. So there might, if the vampires need him for some reason, it wouldn't be a matter of knowledge. They would have, as soon as they captured him, they would have probed him and then killed him, and there would have been no issue.
It's true.
No, I believe that they're working to gather something else, and he is a key ingredient in this thing that they are making. Whether it be a ritual or something else, I'm not sure.
And you got all that from reading Ripol Flowerfield?
I'm a very inquisitive person. The smallest bit.
I am not going to judge when you have skills that I do not.
I have spent a very, very long time studying the nature of death and of the dead. And given that, it gives you a little bit of insight into live people and how people think, how they act, how they react to certain things. I can
Celine,
tell you
is there, so we know that you and Ripple follow the same god, and we also know that, just in my experience, it's kind of unusual for two followers of the same god to have such a conflict, especially, and it's not like, oh, how many zombies can dance on the head of a pin or something. it's to have a conflict in the wider world like this, usually people of the same god tend to stick together. So it seems like, do you think that there's a temple of your god around in this area that we could find more information out about? Or maybe you could even commune with your god or with an angel or however it works with your god to find out if he's betrayed, if he's gone bad? Because I know for you it's really very strongly about the right order of things, and if when the vampires come into existence they disrupt the order, and if he's also disrupting the order, that should be kind of ticking off your god, so to speak. So shouldn't there be some religious way you could?
You were exactly right, Bright, and we need to... If there is a place like that around here, I would very much like to visit it. It has been so long since I've seen another of my order who actually is a member of a temple.
Is worship of
Would I know
Ouijas
if
fairly
would I know if there is a temple of Ouijas here in Snapeye?
No, there wouldn't be. The closest place to you that would it wouldn't even necessarily be a temple to Ouijas, but it would be at least a non-denominational place of prayer for you. Would be the monastery that is located between the eyes of the brow on the Brow Mountains.
So far.
And I'll take you
That
over
is
to it
fine.
here. There is a monastery right here that you
There
can that would be
But we're up here, right?
yep, you're there.
So that's. I mean, it's
Very
better
much
than if
so.
it was like over here, right? But
There
it's still not.
Oh, go ahead.
That's like a week. It's like a week's travel.
It will take some time to get there, and you could pass through Browbeat again, or there are other ways to ascend up to this temple. But this would be a place where people of all religions would be. I mean, so long as you're not murdering other people. Ouija doesn't command you to murder. Just because you're worshiping death, though, doesn't mean that you would be excluded from this place.
Nope.
The only other place that may allow for, or that would actually have a dedicated, at least a shrine, if not more, to Ouijas, would be in Old Town over here to the west.
Old Fort?
Hmm. That's
Or
even
Old Port,
farther.
That's even further.
It's
So-
kind of in the wrong direction from everything else. Because it's on the wrong side of the nose.
Yeah, are we sure there's not one here in this sort of southeastern port, really close to Uct? That would be really cool.
Yeah, the place where all of us want to go. Yeah, that would be much more convenient.
This would take you south-ish. Well, I mean, a little to the west, but you'd still be going south.
It's not even a
I
real
mean-
temple to Ouijas.
It's not, but
yeah, but
they could assist you
it
with.
is a monastery. It is a monastery, and the monastic people are usually very learned. So we could
Well-
stop. We could stop. Like if we have to go south anyway. If we want to go south anyway, we
Yeah,
can
but then
stop
have to
in
come back
there.
home. Might just be time. And if we go south,
I
all of us
mean,
would
I can-
rather-
I can try entreating her later tonight, but
Yeah, see if you can get anything here.
I
'Cause
can't. Like
We're
I
not
have
far
some
in
things,
Fort
but there's not a
Forest,
lot that I can do. It's a shame that we're not on we're not in Lacuna either. I could take you to my house and or at least a little place that I live, which has a shrine.
Yeah, we'll dance around the skulls, and we'll cast all kinds of spells, and it'll be a good old time.
we need to
You can see
research this
dragons.
area.
That's true. Hey, yeah, you haven't lived until you've seen until you've cast a spell
Dragon
through a
Graver.
dragonborn skull. Like, there's really nothing like it. Unique feeling.
Yeah.
We need to at least search this area, see if we can find that camp and happen upon it. If we can, and Tibba's there, that's our first step. It does bring
Quite.
up something that Tazray brought up, though, is that there are other vampire camps around.
He did say
Yeah,
that.
it would be crappy to raid the wrong vampire camp, because that would make
Well-
everything worse.
Well then, what we will do is we will simply walk in and ask them for information. And if they decide not to give it to us in a persuasive fashion, then we will take it by force.
Maybe
Wait,
we
who?
should just send Mordecai because he's already a vampire. And they'll be like, "Oh, you're just our friend. We can tell you things."
That
I
could
mean,
work.
and you do have that, and I mean, you do have that silver tongue of yours, Mordecai.
That's true.
I mean, I try. I'm not that good. I'm not that good at lies.
I don't know if we have a way.
Yes, I know, Mordecai. You're not me. To be fair, she does have the title of High Priestess of Lies, so
So, as far as getting you out of there, we do have the dust of disappearance.
We do have the dust of disappearance.
So if you went in and
Oh,
it,
no.
it went wrong, then you could disappearance yourself to get out.
That's an
I mean,
idea.
it's not the best way out. Do you have a spell that you can use to get yourself out? Gate cord?
Nope. I've been
Yes, you
working on
could.
something to do that, but I don't have one right now.
Stay outside, and then you could message us, because you have the message thing, to hurry up and come in. You could even take Peggy Sue with you if you don't go in too far. We could just wait outside and see what's going on, and then if things go bad, we can come and save you.
That's a thought.
But hopefully
Definitely a plan.
we don't need, because usually whenever there's a fight, you get killed immediately. So I don't I don't want to.
You could save
Savage
up your
bright.
darkness because it's magical darkness, so the vampires won't be able to see through it. And then darkness and run out.
It's true.
I've done that
lots of
before.
things at my employ. What do I have?
You do have a party member that's really good at running.
That too.
Yeah, we do.
So, how do we find them? That's the next question.
Yeah. I mean, it would be easier if we were one more level higher, but we don't have the right spell.
Well, I mean, if that were the case, there would be many things I could
I
do.
very
Many,
good
many
escape
things.
plan if I had actually finished that song, but the next, I suppose, item on the list would be to get some more Luciferess, or find some way of honing senses, which I'm leery to
Yeah.
do.
There are many
the
other
Lucifer's
tieflings here.
isn't a bad idea, and we can probably find some, but do we even really know what powers it even has for sure?
My
This is
brother
what-
told me about that. It's not good. You
Did
should-
he tell you? What did he tell you?
What,
Anything you-
if you haven't
anything you
taken
can
it,
share.
read it.
Considering, did Mordecai already take your dose?
Yeah,
No, but
Yeah, he did. I thought he was going to be doing that.
and
That
I
is-
want to.
That it can be
it was a
very
different
addictive.
color trip.
More than
It was
once.
weird.
Yeah, we know it's addictive. We don't know how it'll affect. I mean, it might not be as addictive to Mordecai because he's Mordecai.
It was
But-
certainly
Me too.
weird.
Maybe Noralai could take it.
No, my brother told me not to.
But it would just be one time.
Mm. My brother would be mad if he found out.
I know.
It's like,
I mean,
and people called me a bad influence, and you're trying to get Noralai to imbibe drugs willingly.
But Bright at least goes tee hee after getting the kid to take drugs, so it's different.
Thank me, Doctor. But no, it is.
it would only be one time, and only for a really important reason.
I can still try to take Tazray's advice and try to tap into that.
Yeah. What can you tell us about it other than that it's addictive? Because we knew that. What powers does it give you, really?
Let me think about what my brother said.
Think.
'Cause I'm quietly
Let me
thinking.
consult my notes and think about what my brother said.
Yeah, we'll finish up here because I think what will happen is you're forming this plan, and the carriage will drop you off outside the tumbled wench here. So we'll take you back to the wench.
I think most of this is probably discussion that we would have waited to have until we got back to the tumbled wench, rather than doing it in the carriage.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'll tell you what then. I can have Noralai recount what her big brother told her about the effects of Lucifer's are on tieflings. I could drop that into side roleplay, but we can finish up for the evening then, since lethality has to get going. You are going to be broadcasting with Gathering of Nerds tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will. The prompt is barbarians, and it's going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, all right then. All right, so yeah, we'll end the session here, and if you all need, it doesn't have to necessarily be roleplay, but if you want to throw your ideas or your clues together in the roleplay channel, I mean, you could also do it in cast and crew if you want. But you are welcome to continue this discussion and this theory crafting. And if you need me, for instance, for Norlai to speak through your mouth regarding some things that you don't know as a player, but your player character would know, I'll be happy to do so.
DM me this stuff so I can translate it into Noilai.
Yeah, sure. I can do it. In fact, that would be a lot more roleplay appropriate. I'll make sure to do that. So then,
Strategizing. That is our next step.
then I'll tell you what. I mean, if any of you have to go, that's fine. I know that we actually powered through this session, and we didn't end up taking a break. But I'm at least personally going to have to get up and take a couple of minute break. I'm going to fix a snack to eat and refill my drink because I kind of put that away at the beginning here after spilling my pitcher of tea. So if you all want to come back and have table talk, I'm absolutely fine with that. If you want to even still just sort of talk in character, or if you want to talk as players putting things out on the play table, you're welcome to do that too. Or we can just talk about whatever comes up. But let's take like a 10-minute break, and then I'll come back and we'll go from there.
Yep.